European travel is now possible for Europeans and non-Europeans as 30 countries reopened for holidays for the first time in 3 months on June the 15th, with flights only gradually picking up, nervousness about new outbreaks in China, and uncertainty about social distancing at tourist venues. Our focus on the program is how passengers are reacting to the new order at airports and new rules on board airlines in the COVID season. Plus, a cargo pilot shares his experience flying mostly COVID-related shipments around the world. This is Aviation This Week on Channels Television. You're most welcome. I'm Bukola Jo Oketumbi.
Many European countries are reopening borders to each other after 3 months of coronavirus closures, restoring the freedom of movement that was interrupted in March. The reopening of borders also come with a number of airports now open to flights. This is the Brussels airport unveiling new safety measures, and under the new procedures, airport staff check the outbound passengers' body temperature before they enter the airport and the inbound passengers before they reach luggage collection area. If their temperature reaches 38 degrees Celsius, they will be asked to change their face mask and consult a doctor. The airport authority also set up hand sanitizer dispensers all around the terminal and started testing a new UV disinfectant remote-controlled robot that can offer 3D cleaning of closed places such as bathrooms and shops.
Well, the last few months have been very difficult for the whole aviation sector, and in particular for Brussels Airport. Traffic had gone down by 99%. So today is a very important day. We are very pleased to welcome more and more passengers. We expect probably 4,000 passengers today with 60 flights. It's the first day, and we know that in the coming weeks, the number of flights, the number of passengers will increase. We expect to reach about 100 destinations early July and even 140 early August. So it's a gradual recovery, but it's very important that the whole sector here can restart its operation.
Lufthansa's subsidiary, Brussels Airlines, which operates out of the Brussels airport, believes the new post-coronavirus environment is different from the one before the outbreak.
You know that we have the extremely efficient HEPA filters on board, which is clearing the air and filtering the air. On the other side, also business-wise, it's a totally different environment. We have only, in the first couple of days, only 10% of our flights flying around. And then we will go up to 40 to 50% during the summer months. So capacity-wise, we are far away from the normal times.
In the departure hall, passengers are happy with the resumption of flights.
The reopening of the airport is first of all a little boost for the economy and the people who work at the airport and all the companies present here. And at the same time, it's a breath of fresh air for people who want to leave and those who had to work to keep things going. I think in particular of the medical workers who can now rest and leave.
Planning to go to Turkey, but my papa is passed away in March, so I waited for 2 months, 3 months, and now it is time. It is first day, I think it is open. And I just want to go to support my mother a little bit, and that's it. But actually, I don't want to go because it is Corona, and normally I should stay here. But yeah, okay. I have a special reason.
Now to Greece, where foreign tourists arrive the country as its 2 main airports open to international flights, with some of the first flights of the day arriving from France and the Netherlands. Passengers from both flights were tested upon arrival and required to fill out forms with their personal and contact information, including where they will be residing.
It's nice to be the first person off the plane and the first person out the door, so probably in all of the EU, because we were the first flight, I think, 5 o'clock this morning. So yeah, it's great. It's nice to get the economy going back too. We're already used to it, I think. Look at all of us doing our jobs and doing our thing. So I think we're there. It was pretty jammed in there, but not too bad. We started off all together, but then we were able to spread around, which wasn't so bad.
You have a note, and it says you have to quarantine for 7 days. If you are tested positive, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks. Yes, if you are negative, you have to quarantine for 7 days.
From Greece to France, Paris's biggest international airport is seeing encouraging signs of a restart of the air transport industry as most of Europe's interior borders start opening. At the Charles de Gaulle airport, security checkpoints, once deserted during the strict 8-week lockdown, were again filled with travelers, many of whom are sojourning to other parts of the EU bloc. Away from France to Turkey, as a national carrier, Turkish Airlines and its budget carrier, Anadolu Jet, resumed some of their international flights to Germany, Britain and Netherlands, carrying only passengers with approved documents. The outbound flight could only carry passengers with EU citizenship, residence permit or certain visas. Passengers traveling to London, Düsseldorf and Amsterdam with Anadolu Jet formed long queues at Sabiha Gökçen Airport. One of them, Amal Halak, a stranded passenger returning to Britain, said she was anxious about returning, having checked every day for flight after her initial return flight was cancelled.
I don't know, it's very strange. All feels very different. I feel like I don't know what to do, and there are new rules for people who arrive in the UK, which have been implemented a couple of days ago, and I have to self-isolate, which isn't a problem for me. I already live on my own. But I don't know what to expect. I'm really anxious.
And over to Egypt, where plans are in place to reopen all its airports on July the 1st after the suspension of regular international flights in March due to the coronavirus outbreak. At a news conference, Mohammed Maner Amba announced that flights will resume gradually and will be limited to resorts in 3 coastal provinces.
God willing, on July the 1st, we'll resume flights in all airports of the Republic. Perhaps there was some confusion the last period. Tourism will be on the coastal cities, as the Minister of Tourism will explain. Regarding all other airports, flights will resume gradually alongside the countries that intend to reopen with us on July 1st.
Egypt's tourism minister, who joined the news conference, outlined measures to be taken inside planes, at airports and in hotels to help ensure the safety and health of foreign tourists.
On July the 1st, as His Excellency the Minister of Aviation has said, we will begin to receive tourists in only 3 provinces to begin with. Those 3 provinces are South Sinai, Red Sea and Matro. These 3 provinces were chosen because they are coastal cities and are far away from large population gatherings. They also have some of the least coronavirus cases around the country.
The pandemic has hit Egypt's tourism industry hard, a sector that accounts for 5% of the country's economic output. From Egypt in North Africa to Nigeria, where the airport authority says it's putting plans in place to receive passengers from June the 21st, as the local airport in Lagos undergoes some reordering in line with the COVID-19 protocols. Ticket counters now have plastic barricades, while the seating arrangement at the departure lounge obey the social distancing rules. Signs also show that masks are now compulsory. The airport authority has advised passengers to arrive at least 3 hours before their flight, owing to the COVID-19 rules. Although the airspace is still closed and open only to emergency flights, the federal government has suspended operations of executive jet aircraft flew Afropop artist Naira Marley to Abuja for a concert. The Aviation Ministry said the flight contravened its order.
Nigeria's Aviation Minister Hadi Sirika announced the indefinite ban during the daily briefing on the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 early in the week.
We approved a flight, but certainly not for any musician. The flight from the application was to convey Honorable Justice Adepobe Okoji from Lagos to Abuja and back to Lagos for an official assignment. And in this challenging time, in our wisdom, we considered judiciary to be part of essential service to be delivered, having to move the Honorable Justice from Lagos to Abuja was in order. The approval was given for the 14th of June 2020. However, we do give them a window, a leeway of 24 hours, sometimes due to operational reasons. Either they can operate the flight slightly earlier or slightly forward within 24 hours. In this case, the operator chose to fly on the 13th at about 6 o'clock. So that in itself is not a violation to operate earlier because we gave him the leeway. The operator executive jet services and from Lagos to Abuja and Abuja to Lagos for that mission. The approval was was very clear, and I will read part of the approval. And this is a letter from Ministry of Aviation to the Chairman of the Executive Jet Services. The COVID-19 protocols have been read here before you severally, and we're all very aware of it, and I've tweeted it also severally. The document also that we give the control tower for approval is also here. In that document, the Honorable Minister of Aviation has granted approval for Executive Air Services to operate a return flight to Abuja from Lagos with such details on the 14th of June 2020 with 24-hour leeway. Operation must be strictly under COVID-19 protocols. The operation is a clear violation of our approval, to which we take very seriously. And it seems that this is becoming a norm. Perhaps this is the second time. So Executive Air Services operations are hereby suspended indefinitely. We will also fine them maximally according to the law. The captain of the flight will also be sanctioned for giving wrong information to the control tower, and also appropriately in accordance with our law. Now, it seems also that people are not tired of trying our resolve. Well, we also are not tired of living and rising up to the challenge, and living and rising up to our own responsibility for keeping every one of us safe. Governance is a serious matter. We don't take things lightly in civil aviation because it means the lives of people. We are highly regulated, we are international, and we are one aviation. Going forward, we will put up mechanisms in place or escalate the mechanisms that we have in place to deter people from doing so, and it also means there will be stricter in our approvals. And whoever dared us will meet the consequences.
Captain Rotimi Adeoye has been commended for making Nigeria and Africa proud for his service during the COVID-19 season. Adeoye flies the Airbus A350-900 for one of Africa's biggest airlines and is said to be the youngest pilot flying that type of plane. He became the youngest captain on the Boeing 737NG in 2014 among many feats. He tells us his experience at this time via Skype.
It's been quite interesting because the airspace generally, all around the world, Asia, Europe, and the US, is pretty much always very busy, but nowadays it's pretty silent, There are not many planes in the sky, and the aircraft is pretty much empty as well. the operation has changed from passenger to a lot of cargo because, cargo is like what is moving right now. We're just doing a lot of the cargo shipments, delivering PPEs to countries and, all the people that need these things because of this COVID-19 pandemic. I'd say at least every other day. Depends. Like within the last 2 months, it was busier than expected, to be honest. But yeah, just as it comes. And once in a while, like in 2 months, maybe I did 2 or 3 passenger flights. The others have been cargo. We respect all the rules and regulations. We have them all printed out for our standard operating procedures. We make sure that, we all respect all the precautions. We have our masks on, gloves on as necessary as well. Wash your hands regularly. So everybody's very paranoid with the situation. So everybody's, very cautious. I think it's a privilege, to still be able to work in this season because, lots of people, especially in our industry, are out of jobs, at the moment, or, they're not sure of, what the next day is going to bring,
Foreign visitors have begun to trickle back to the white sands and warm waters of Mexico's Caribbean coast as its popular beaches gradually reopen to tourism with new sanitary measures in place to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. A few tourists splashed in the ocean and laid out on the soft sand outside Cancun resorts. Although hotels can allow guests into the water, public beaches remain closed.
It's simple, it's great, things are getting clean more, but I feel totally safe, and I travel with my wife and kids, and it's great. There's no crowds, it's very convenient, and it's affordable.
You know what, I think they need to get Mexico open, just like we're doing in the United States. In the United States, we're about 50% open everywhere. And by the end of the month, we'll be 100% open. I think Mexico needs to do the same thing.
Cyprus also welcomed Israeli passengers as the island reopened its airports to travelers after almost 3 months of lockdown.
Yeah, I come for the vacation for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I don't know. And I miss Cyprus. Cyprus is the brother of Israel. It's very nice, very quiet.
Heavily reliant on tourism, the country's Deputy Tourism Minister Savas Pedio said arrivals will be down 70% this year compared to 2019 due to the lockdown. Months have already been lost for a tourism season that begins in March and will not be in full swing until July, especially with major markets as the United Kingdom not in the first wave of arrivals. The categories, according to Cyprus, will be re-evaluated on a weekly basis.
Our main markets, like the UK, Russia and Sweden, as I said, they will probably be available towards the end of July. So there's losses to be made in terms of that.
As an incentive to travel, Cyprus will cover the cost incurred by a visitor who tests positive for COVID-19 while on the island, as well as family members who will have to be isolated and even provide entertainment.
When people start getting into the mood of booking a holiday, these questions are going to pop up. What's going to happen if I see symptoms when I go there? What happens if I'm tested randomly at a destination and I test positive? Who's going to cover that cost? Is my insurance going to cover it? The answer is no. Am I going to have to pay more to stay on the island? So all these questions we think are negative factors in the decision-making process. So we wanted to take that out of the equation and create peace of mind.
Cyprus has set aside 300 rooms in hotels to quarantine any cases.
Here at the Taronga Zoo, Marley the sea lion and his keeper Daniel Fox stand side by side in an almost empty zoo. Being able to venture out of his enclosure, Marley waddles freely down a path without any guests. The zoo had to close its doors to the public as of March 25th to comply with social distancing measures mandated by the Australian government in a bid to stop the spread of COVID-19.
Animals don't seem to react differently. However, they would definitely notice that there's no crowds out here when we're doing training sessions on stage, when normally there can be up to 1,000 people. So that would be quite different for them. However, they're not acting different. If they are feeling that things have changed, they're certainly not reacting in a different way.
Australia has largely avoided the high numbers of coronavirus casualties, which have beset other countries.
Wow, that was good.
That has been put down to heavy restrictions on public movement, including border closures and shuttering businesses that rely on paying visitors, like zoos, with no end date given.
When you've got people that you can share what you are pretty passionate about, it makes your day. And so when they're not here to be able to share that with you, it's kind of like there's a void. It just feels empty. It's great because I still get to spend my days with the animals I would have been with otherwise. My day-to-day life hasn't really changed that much. It's just the feeling that's different.
Over at the bird show area, keeper Brendan Marcus is also trying to keep daily activities running for the birds of prey, although it's not the same without the crowds.
I don't think the birds notice much at all, to be honest. That's not entirely true. I think they'd be aware, but more accurately, I don't think they care too much. They're still coming out and doing what they would do otherwise. Their day-to-day is pretty much the same, except now instead of doing it every day, they're just doing it every second day, just so that we can meet all their behavioural goals, as well as do everything else that we have to do as a keeper.
During the 2018-2019 financial year, Taronga Zoo had 1.4 million guests pass through its gates.
Wow, that was good.
And it's bye for now on the program. See you next time. I'm Bukola Jo Oketumbi.